Hey gang! I'm Fahaam, your financial freedom guru. Let's turn your dreams into billionaire success stories. Today, we're diving into the incredible, almost mysterious life of Daniel K. Ludwig, a man who went from a modest, small-town boy to one of the richest men in the world, yet most people have never even heard of him. He wasn't flashy like today's billionaires, didn't chase the cameras, and didn't even want the world to know how much he was worth. But behind the scenes, he was shaping industries, rewriting the rules of business, and building an empire that spanned oceans, continents, and industries. If you've ever wondered how to build massive wealth while keeping your name out of the spotlight, Ludwig's story is your ultimate playbook. Daniel Keith Ludwig was born on June 24, 1897, in South Haven, Michigan. His family was far from wealthy, and young Daniel quickly learned the value of hard work. While most kids were still in school and playing ball, Ludwig was already hustling. He had a fascination with ships and the sea, and by the time he was a teenager, he was working around docks and vessels, learning every little detail about how they worked. That curiosity wasn't just a hobby, it was the foundation for his billion-dollar empire. In an incredible move of early ambition, Ludwig borrowed $5,000 before he was even 20 years old to buy his first boat. Think about that, a teenager in the early 1900s taking on debt to invest in an asset that he believed would make him money. This wasn't a small boat for fishing trips, this was his first real business investment. He began transporting goods and materials, and that little operation grew into something far bigger than anyone around him imagined. The man had vision, and he wasn't afraid to bet on himself. Over the years, Ludwig's shipping business expanded at an astonishing rate. He founded National Bulk Carriers, a company that became one of the largest privately owned shipping fleets in the world. His genius was in identifying efficiency gaps in the industry, and filling them. He was a pioneer in the creation of supertankers, massive ships designed to transport oil in bulk across oceans. At a time when most shipping companies were thinking small, Ludwig was thinking massive. Bigger ships meant lower costs per barrel, more profit per trip, and dominance in a market that was exploding thanks to the post-war oil boom. But Ludwig's brilliance didn't stop at engineering, it extended to financing. He developed unique financing methods for shipbuilding that reduced his risks and allowed him to grow without giving away control of his empire. While others relied heavily on banks or outside investors, Ludwig found ways to structure deals where the ships themselves helped pay for their own construction through long-term contracts. This meant he could expand faster and more aggressively than his competitors, and because his operations were private, nobody outside his inner circle really knew the extent of his wealth. And let's talk about diversification. Ludwig was not the kind of businessman to put all his eggs in one basket. Once his shipping empire was dominating the seas, he moved into oil refining, real estate, hotels, mining, and agriculture. He bought properties in prime locations, invested in mining operations around the globe, and even ventured into farming on a massive scale. One of his most ambitious, and controversial, ventures was the Yari project in the Amazon rainforest of Brazil. Ludwig envisioned a huge pulp and paper operation, combined with sustainable forestry, in a completely undeveloped and remote area. The project included building infrastructure, housing, and entire communities for workers. While the plan was bold and ahead of its time in some ways, it also faced massive logistical, environmental, and political challenges. The Yari project became a symbol of Ludwig's fearless ambition, willing to take on projects that others thought impossible, but it also showed that not every big idea pays off perfectly. Ludwig's lifestyle was as fascinating as his business moves. Despite being one of the richest men in the world, he lived in almost complete privacy. He didn't chase magazine covers, he didn't brag about his wealth, and he kept his companies closely held. This secrecy gave him a competitive edge. No one could fully track what he was doing, where he was investing, or how much power he actually held. In fact, for years, even Forbes had difficulty estimating his net worth, and some say he may have been wealthier than the billionaires who were getting all the headlines. What makes Ludwig's journey so powerful for anyone chasing financial freedom is his mindset. He didn't just spot opportunities, he created them. He didn't wait for someone to open the door, he built the door, the frame, and the entire building. He thought in terms of scale and efficiency, and he understood that wealth creation often comes from solving massive problems in a way that no one else dares to attempt. He also played the long game. Ludwig didn't jump from trend to trend. He committed to industries that he understood deeply, then used his knowledge to dominate them. And his diversification wasn't random. Every new industry he entered had some connection to his existing operations, creating a web of businesses that supported and amplified each other. By the time of his death in 1992, Ludwig was believed to have been worth several $billion, putting him among the richest individuals in the world. But more importantly, his legacy is one of strategic thinking, calculated risk-taking, and maintaining control over your destiny by staying private when possible. He donated large portions of his wealth to medical research, particularly cancer research, through his Ludwig Institute for Cancer Research, showing that even a man so private could leave a lasting public impact. So, what can you take away from Daniel K. Ludwig's billionaire journey? First, start where you are. Ludwig began with a single boat and turned it into a fleet that changed global shipping. Second, think big. While others were looking for small wins, Ludwig was redesigning the scale of an entire industry. Third, protect your control. He kept his companies private, controlled his financing, and moved in silence. And finally, take bold swings. Some may not work out perfectly, but the ones that hit can change your life forever. Daniel K. Ludwig didn't live for fame, he lived for impact, efficiency, and empire building. His story proves that you don't have to be loud to be legendary, and you don't need to broadcast every move to the world to create generational wealth. Sometimes the most powerful players are the ones you never see coming, and that's exactly how Ludwig built and kept his fortune. For those of you dreaming about building your own empire, remember this: you don't have to be the loudest in the room, but you do have to be the smartest and the most relentless. Like Ludwig, find your niche, scale it to the maximum, protect your vision, and never be afraid to tackle challenges that make others run the other way. That's the path to financial freedom, and maybe, just maybe, the path to becoming the next hidden billionaire.